What's up there, my friends? How's it going today? This is kind of a unplanned video here. I just had this thought on my mind and I didn't want to let it go or forget to make this video, which I don't think I would. But if I were to tell you that, I think Van Halen sucks, how would you feel about that? I mean, it's obvious if I said the same thing a month ago, people would not obviously be as triggered as they would today because as with Eddie Van Halen dying, a lot of people are upset. Even my own brother, he said he was one of his idols and inspired him to play guitar. I mean, even I said something in a text. I made a joke about Eddie and Iron Maiden, and he found that insensitive, which I found interesting from somebody who doesn't take offense to things. And I realized that fans of music are very, let's just say that fans of music will stand by their musicians. I'm a Jerry Garcia fan, but I'm a Grateful Dead fan. Jimi Hendrix, a lot of musicians. But when somebody talks shit about Jerry, it's like, whatever, I've heard it all before. And so what happened the other day, and this is interesting, Twitter is a cesspool of a bunch of triggered nonsense. But I actually resisted signing up for Twitter until this year. And the only reason I did it was because sometimes I just see a tweet and there's just no other way to voice my opinion than to say something, to respond, and I had to sign up to do that. And so, yeah, I send out a few tweets, and it's usually pretty much pointless. But usually when you hear about a Twitter war or something that happened or somebody said something that triggered others, it's through the media. But I was there firsthand to watch what happened to David Crosby the other day. And David Crosby from Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, he's getting on in his late 70s and whatnot. He's a very eccentric, interesting kind of individual. The way he tweets is very, whatever. It's different. It's unique to him. So somebody tweeted the other day. They said, "Hey, what did you think? Did you think about Eddie Van Halen?" And his response was one word: meh. MEH. That's all he said. Nothing. And it started. I mean, I actually looked it up to see if it had made any of these, media or music newspapers and whatnot. And sure enough, it's in there. Tracy Guns from LA Guns said, "Oh no, wrong as fuck and sensitive as fuck and that's bullshit." Now look, a couple of these people that responded when this first started, I responded back to them and said, "Look, you come on here and one person has a one-word response. If a musician was asked for his opinion on a musician, I'm assuming that the question was pertaining to, what do you think of his music? So it's not like you were asking about an individual or his contribution as a human being, but rather music. He's a musician. What do you think about the other musician? Meh. Just because he's dead, everybody jumped down his throat. They started calling him an asshole. I watched dozens of people just say, "Oh, well, you won't be remembered in history, David. Your music sucks. You're just old. You're just grumpy old dumbass, blah, blah." I mean, I have never seen so much hate towards an old man in my life because of one word. And not too long after he tweeted that, he actually confirmed and, clarified by saying, somebody even said, "What you really meant, well, you should have said this response." And he said, "Better." He agreed with it. And then he responded by saying, Jimi Hendrix changed music. He's like, for all those who, he was a great guitarist, Eddie Van Halen, but he was not for me. That's basically what he said. Wasn't enough. And so, since I responded, I'm still getting these, people commenting in my feed. So every time I go to see what people have said in the comment section, it's just worse and worse. And I've said it's so shameful that someone would hide behind their keyboard and at the same time insult a man who is a musician, say his music sucks, say that his opinion sucks and that he's a total asshole and he should fuck off, merely because he had a one-word response to a different musician. It's the worst hypocrisy that I've ever seen. And the reason I bring this up isn't to back up David or to even talk about Van Halen, but rather to analyze the bigger problem we have here, which is this, cancel culture, this snowflake society. And usually people who are saying that are right wing, but people who know my channel know that I am a liberal minded person. I tend to lean left. And I still just cringe at what some people are doing when they are trying to protect, not free speech, but protect what they don't want to hear, protect their fragile minds from things. And well, it's one thing when somebody says something hateful and mean to someone. They deserve to be called out on that. But we've become so immersed in that triggered culture that now when someone says one word in response to a question about music, a million assumptions come out about what that person really meant, what they should have said. I must have seen a dozen comments of people saying, what you should have said was this. And all I could say to them was, really? Well, thanks for the information. Thanks for telling everybody what they should be saying. I find that to be complete bullshit. And I know where it comes from. It comes from this culture of hate speech that we've had in many different ways. I mean, racial, people insulting anybody who's different from them, whether it's females or gays or anybody else. There's been so much insulting people through history that now everybody wants to be protected in a safe space where you can't even say a word without being attacked. So I just wanted to touch on that and see what you all think about it. I mean, do you think it's insensitive to say the word meh as a response to a musician's question? But even if you do find it insensitive, do you think it warrants everyone beating down his door telling him his music sucks and he's a piece of shit? The old two wrongs don't make a right, which, my mom taught me and I'll never forget it. You can't forget those things. But that's assuming that the first wrong was wrong. I don't know. It opened up this, watching it unfold and realizing that it actually got into the media over one word. Just, it's just another revealing of how fragile this system is and how grateful I am to not be a fucking celebrity. I mean, when I hear people say they want to be famous, they want to be world known and be a rock star, I think, really? Every little thing you say is going to be, and it's even people that I do respect in the music world, like Dee Snider. He's an intelligent guy, but even he retweeted the Tracy Guns thing, and he said something negative about David as well. Like something really shitty. I don't even remember what it was, but music is music. Everybody has their opinions. And I'm going to tell you straight out, I'm an 80s baby. I was born in 75. My friends and I had, my buddy, I remember we were cleaning out his air vents and found a Van Halen record because that's the kind of shit. Van Halen, Beastie Boys, Run DMC, whatever was there. But there was one band that I just really never bought into, and that was Van Halen. I thought they sucked. And when I was like 12 to 15, or I should say, 11 to 13 maybe, I was really into David Lee Roth, which even today I cringe listening to some of that stuff, but I was young. But even when I liked David Lee Roth, I just wasn't into Van Halen. Sure, I listen to Panama and Jump when it comes on the radio, and I still love those songs once in a while. But I could never sit down and listen to Van Halen, and I always thought they just kind of sucked. It was just the same old shit. Does that mean that they weren't pioneers? No. Eddie was a pioneer in his own way. But my opinion is that I don't think their music is very good. And to hear somebody else say that and then be attacked so harshly merely because of a death, I don't know what else to say about it. It's just a fascinating look at just how absolutely absurd we've become. So, talk to y'all later. Peace.